All right. Well, we're getting started here with our Epic 101 webinar. I am starting here at the login page. I just wanted to point something out to some folks because this is a change that came about, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago. If you ever do find yourself forgetting your password, having trouble logging in, I wish they just changed this to say, forgot your password, because that's usually what the problem is. But anyway, if you have that issue coming up, I just wanted to point out that you will need your username in order to get your password reset. Now, that is one thing we can help you with. We can't tell you your password, but if you have forgotten the username, we can go into your account and we can find your username and get that to you. And I wanted to, to point this out because sometimes people change, administrators change, and what will happen when you go through this reset, it's going to send the reset information to whatever email address is in the account setup, which we're going to talk about now in just a couple of minutes. So I just wanted to point that out. When you do log in, you should end up at your home page, and just point out a couple of things here. These accounts are set up that you can buy your credits online, where you would just click on this link. You'd tell us how many credits you want, put in a credit card, and then very shortly after that, except on weekends, we'll get those credits in your account. Also wanted to mention, this first part here is be news from our organization, from Center for Internal Change, and we'll be putting things in here that we think are important for you to know. And we'll also have it set up that you can get news from the publisher, Epic News. So if you have time, you can scroll down, see what they're talking about. And they also list their archives, so things that had come out earlier. If you have some time, you may want to browse through that. So that's the home page, and we'll come back to that as we finish up today. The whole account is fairly simple, straightforward. Not a lot of areas here. You're going to manage your reports, manage your account, and we'll talk about personal options here in just a moment. But I did want to point out under the help area, something that is somewhat new now. There are a number of short videos that the publisher has listed here, most of them 3 or 4 minutes long. If you have some time, you may want to take a look at that. And of course, also you can download a full document with help information, and also point out the technical documents that you may want to take a look at. And if you have an IT department or somebody helps you there, if you ever run into some problems, you might want to start with that and see if there's something going on your internal server. But let's start out with the personal options. One of the most important areas I feel to really spend some time on, and maybe even take a look at it every once in a while, would be this area under personal options of looking at your account. And I just want to briefly go through some of this. Obviously, putting in your company name, the name of your administrator, and an email address are going to be critical. You have to have something in there. But you can also put in multiple email addresses in here. So, for example, in this particular one, we have 2 different email addresses, and what that means is that messages going from Epic to, quote, the administrator will go to those addresses, and you can have as many of those as you want. And there's a little information thing here about that. One of the things I need to point out is this primary setting. Is when you set somebody as primary, the reason you do that, they found that many servers, if a bounce back, you have a bad email address and the bounce back is trying to get to too many different places, sometimes it just gets lost. And so they reprogram this, and for bounce backs, those will only go to the primary email address, so something to keep in mind. But you can have as many in here as you wish. Another one people tend to sort of pass over is the email from name. It's not required, but I strongly encourage that. The email address, the real email address, is your username and then inscape-epic.com, or I think they're gradually changing to wiley-inscape epic.com. But if you don't put something in here, that's what's still going to come from this address. But when you put something in here, this is what people will see. So it might be your name, it might be HR department, it might be your company name, whatever you want that will make people feel, oh yeah, this is an email that I can trust, this is somebody I know. What they say here is sort of a friendly name. So you may want to take a look at that. And it's very easy to change if you have a special project going on and you want people to notice where it's coming from. Contact information, they only require a contact name, but I'll show you in a minute why I think this is important. Take advantage of this. These are just suggestions over here. You can put anything you want in these fields. Company logo is a very good one to consider. Again, easy to change. You might have a special project coming up and you want to have a special logo just for that project. Very easy to go in and delete the one that's there and upload another one. Company website. This is an interesting one. This is designed so that at the end of an assessment, if you want to take people to a web page somewhere, and it can be anywhere, but you may have a special page on your own website, your internal website, that you want people to go to that's going to talk more about what they're going to do next, or introduce them to your program, or maybe there's something even out on the internet you want them to look at. While I'm here, I do want to call out these little question marks throughout the system. These are just-in-time help. So whenever you hit a field like this and you say, gee, I wonder what that is that something I should really pay attention to? If you click that little question mark, it's going to take you to the area of the help section that is specifically for that field and help you decide whether or not you want to use that and how to use that. And of course, languages, email options. The subject line, the default is always going to end up being your admin name and the product name. If you are doing things on a fairly regular basis, maybe you have a certain training program or something you run over and over and over again, you may want to set up a different sort of default subject line. So when you're sending out a custom message, it's there automatically, but you don't have to because you can change it when you get to that point. If you do put something in here, you can use system variables, which is what these are up here, the admin name and product name, something else to consider. I usually don't do much of that. I just change it as I go. You definitely want your email format to be HTML these days. Very few people are using plain text, but it also gives you the opportunity to do more setting up your email the way you want it with HTML. I'll show you that in a minute. The profile completion email, I really like this. I have mine checked here. This is going to send me an email when a respondent completes a profile. Sometimes it just reminds me that, gee, I better check and see how they're doing, or maybe I should send out some more reminders, or, oh yeah, that program's next week. I'll be thinking about that. So I like to have that one checked. Credit reminder, if that may not be a bad idea if you're fairly active and you want to remind yourself that, gee, I'd like to keep credits in my account. If it goes below 50 or 100 or something, I better remind me. Maybe I'll go in and buy some ahead of time so that I'm ready for the next project. Time zones, you want to have that set to the appropriate time zone if you intend to use the future delivery option we'll talk about in a few minutes. Now, you talked about not letting people see their reports as soon as they finish their assessment, and that's the way we work as well. So I would have this unchecked. I don't want people to view their results online by default. There are times when I want them to, and I'll change that when I get to that stage of sending out the access codes. And I definitely want to have the future delivery option, which I'll show you in a moment. So when you go through this, you check it, and you click Save. Now what you can do is you can get a chance to see what is your report cover going to look like. So you put in a logo, you put in all that information about your account, and that's where it's going to show up. You can also take a look at what the welcome page is going to look like when they come to the website. So spend some time in there, work on how you want your reports to look, how you want the website to look, and how you want this account to work for you. Any questions on any of that?
Nope, looks good.
Okay, well, we'll just keep moving on. A couple of these are pretty obvious, changing your username and password, creating sample reports. I would like to mention there's a lot more in here than just a couple disc reports. There's time mastery. There's 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. There's listening. So you may want to spend a little time looking at what's in here. If you are thinking about using a certain report for a project, it's another nice way to take a quick look at, what is the report that I want to use, and make sure it is the right one. Sometimes we use these to show either an internal or external client, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing in this training. We want you to see it ahead of time, so we might use the sample report for that. One of the key areas under here, under personal options, that I hope you're using is custom messages. The system allows you to include a custom message whenever you send out your access codes, but you can also set them up ahead of time, and particularly if it's something you want to give a little thought to or you're going to use over and over, and then they'll store them in this little database of custom messages. Now, there are two grayed out areas here that come from the publisher. If you're using the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team, they have some messages already set up for you. You can still edit them, but you can't delete the category. And also myeverythingdisc.com, custom messages that you can edit. You can delete the messages, but you can't delete the category. Now, in this case, for our example here today, I set up one called Team Building Classes, and I'm going to have a special message for the accounting department. We'll have a program coming up soon. So what I did is I gave it a name, a title, so I know what it is, and then I set up a custom message that I'll use when I send out my access codes. In this case, I decided to use a system variable here, and I just put my cursor there and chose the respondent name, so it's a little bit personalized. But this message now will be stored here. When I get to the point of sending out my access codes, I can easily choose it, and I can still use all of the editing features. I can change things. I can add pictures. I can change a date. I could change, whatever as we're going along. So custom messages, a very good thing to be using. Another one you might want to take a look at from time to time is the email templates. The email templates allows you to take a look at, well, what comes from the system that I can't change. So let's look at access code related, which is usually where you'd be working. So I'm going to assign an access code, and I want to know, what does the system send out? What's coming from Epic? Everything here in gray is what Epic is going to send. You can't change it. So it's going to have the link to take them to the website, the unique access code. If it has something with supplemental reports, it would put that in. But I wanted to call your attention to admin comments. This is where your custom message will end up. So if you do use a custom message, this is where it goes. If you don't use a custom message, it'll start right out with what's in the gray box. And what you put into your contact information, that goes here at the bottom. So it's always nice to take a quick look and just see what those messages are going to look like. And that's about all I want to cover under personal options at the moment. In this particular situation, I'm going to be using a workplace report. So I may have gone in here and created a sample report, make sure it's the right one, just what I wanted to use. And I might say, well, gee, I wonder now, do I have enough credits for what I'm going to do? Under Manage Your Accounts, there's this section for credits charged for reports. So I can take a quick look at that. And it's going to tell me the workplace profile is going to cost me 15 credits. I'm going to be sending this out to, let's see what I'm going to do today, I think 4 people. So yes, I have plenty of credits, so you want to check your credit balance before you go ahead and start your process of sending things out to people. While we're under Manage Your Account, one other one I'll call your attention to is folder maintenance, which is a nice one to use. Let's say, for example, in this case, maybe I had ended up with people in the accounting department, and I wanted to, after the program was over, let's say maybe I started out with a team building area, and after it was over, I wanted to move them to a department. Maybe I do this over and over, but then I wanted to move them into a department. So you can do this here. One of the things I recommend to people is also take a look at what is in your folders, or I should say what's not in your folders. Sometimes when we're setting things up, we move fast, we forget to put reports into folders, they end up being sort of orphans out there. So this would tell you if you have any of those that are not in folders, and if you wanted to move them to a folder, it's a very simple process. Check the ones that you want, what folder is going to go to, and transfer the reports. Very easy process to use. And there are a number of account activity reports. We're not going to be going into those today. We'll do something on that special in a later webinar. So let's start with the process now that we have it all set up. Now it's time to send out our access codes. You start with create new report issue access codes. The reason it's labeled that way is because there are times when you're not issuing an access code, but you are using this process to create a report, such as team reports, group reports, things like that. So in this case, we're going to be issuing access code. And the product family I've decided is everything disk. I've already decided I'm going to do the workplace profile. It's going to come out in English. We do have other languages. If you are ever in need of that, we can talk about that at another time. Of course, today we're going to be working with English. So now it's going to tell us what the report content possibilities are. This I found is only really important at this stage of the game if I intend to let somebody view the report as soon as they're finished with the assessment. If they're not, it really doesn't matter because we'll be able to make those choices later when we go to print the report. My Everything Disk options, I generally like to give people access to My Everything Disk even if they're not going to see their report, because I don't give them access to my comparisons or my style. That way they can set up their account, they can learn a little bit about disk before they come to the training, and then I'll go back after the training, and then I'll give them access to all the rest of it. Product tailoring. Ooh, I missed that. Okay, product tailoring, I'll come back to this in just a moment to show you how we'll pick this. I missed it over here. I wanted to show you that. Product tailoring, they call it report tailoring here, is another feature that I don't think enough people take advantage of. In this particular case, I've set one up for the workplace report, and I'll just show you what I did here. I chose the report. It's going to be the workplace profile is what I'm going to be tailoring here. I gave it a name. We like to use personalities at work as the title of our workshop. And so that's what the custom program name is going to be. And I'll show you why. So I'm going to take a look at how that's going to turn out if I do this, if I choose that. So if I would not have put that here, it would say Everything Disk Workplace Report over here. So it already says it over here. So I'd like to have the title of my program up here, and we've used various titles for various reports, like for management reports, we call it a management style clinic, things like that. I find that not too many people are taking advantage of this, and it's a really neat feature. There are other things you can do here, moving pages around, things like that, but I've never really found them all that helpful. But definitely titling your report, I would encourage you to do. So let's get back to where I was. All right, so I was going to give them access to my Everything Disk. I did want to, again, this is one that I don't have to choose right now because they're not going to see it right away anyway. So really the only thing that I need to make a choice on here for most of our work is, do I want them to have my Everything Disk before we actually do the training? And more we're doing that. So it stopped me here on my Everything Disk because it says, hey, did you not want to give them the comparisons and my style? And yep, that's the way I like it. So we'll let that go. Okay, so now we come back to the folders. I think it's very important that you do choose a folder and a subfolder. And so in this case, I've already set up this folder. If I didn't have a folder here, which I already do, I could just choose and set up a new folder, give it a name. Here's where our future delivery options come in. Really nice feature. If you have time today to set this up, but you don't want them to go out until next week, and this happens for us many times where somebody wants codes going out on a certain day at a certain time, and I don't want to set myself an alarm and say, hey, I got to get in and set this up at a certain time. So you do it whenever you can, and now I have the ability to tell Epic what day and what time I want these to go out. And I can also tell it that when I want the first reminder to go out. So I can pick any date and any time, and I can also put in a custom reminder subject. So I may want to put in, like, the word urgent or something like that, please complete before the end of the day or whatever it might be. And again, you can use system variables if you want to do that. This group ID, it will give it something from the system. You could put in something else there. And the reason that sometimes is important is if you have more than one of these, you have a whole bunch of these going on, you may want to get in here at some point and edit. Maybe you need to change the date or the time. It just makes it a little bit easier to know which one you're working on. I usually don't have that many going on, so I don't worry about that. And we finally get to the point where we want to add respondents. So the first way to add respondents is just one at a time. So I'll add me, and the default is 1. Sometimes people ask, why is there a quantity here? Because what it's doing is it's sending out an access code. There may be a time when you have people who don't have email in your organization, so you want to send 5 access codes to their supervisor, who will then distribute the access codes, and people will either do them on a computer in the office somewhere or whatever. So you can send multiple access codes to a single person. View report, because of the way I set up my account, the default is no, and that's the way I want it, so I'm going to leave that there. So now what I could do is I could just keep adding names. But I have a template set up. I'd rather do it more quickly than that. Up under Manage Reports, before you get into going through your setup, you can you can download an import template where it'll be set up so that Epic can import it. And it's going to be just name. They put first and last name in the same field, and then the email address, and then there is a field for view yes, no, and you can set that ahead of time too, but you can also change it after it's uploaded. So I have one set up, and I navigate to it, and it will upload my file. Now, if I had 50, 60 people on here, it would still be extremely fast. It would add them very quickly. And in this case, I had my template set up so that people could see their reports right away. And I can change this right now. I could change it to, what happened here? That's not good. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Okay, there we go. All right. So I can go through and I can make those changes. So, even if I didn't have my template set up right or I made a last minute change, I can do that. And I did want to point out there are still a lot of folks who have a report in their system that is Disk Classic and they want to use Workplace. Or maybe they have somebody in their system who, in this case, let's say I have somebody who had gone through the management profile a little bit ago, and now I want them to do the workplace profile. If I choose an existing report, if they're in the Everything Disk suite of products, they won't have to do the basic disk assessment piece. They'll only have to do the part of the assessment that relates to that context. For example, management, workplace, sales, leadership, whatever it might be. If you're choosing a person who has a Disk Classic report and they are moving into a workplace report, and this only will work with the workplace report, and I think it's good till the end of this year. They're encouraging people to make that move. I can find that person who has a Disk Classic report, and when I find that person, okay, they have a Disk Classic 2.0, so I want them in my training program. Now, they will still have to go through the complete start-to-finish workplace assessment because it is a completely different assessment. Unlike somebody who had done the management report, the basic disk information is the same, so they don't have to do that. The big difference is how much it's going to cost. So this particular person is only going to cost 5 credits, whereas these are all 15 credits, as we checked earlier when we looked at what the cost was. So they're giving you a 10-credit discount in order to move people from Classic to the newer Everything Disk Workplace. But in this case, I'm not going to send that out to that person, so I'm going to take that away. And again, my system is not liking that. Let's see. Must be a bad internet day. All right. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So it's going to cost me 60 credits. I have 100, so I'm in good shape. So I'll assign the access codes. It's going to say how many credits. Yep, that's fine. Do I want a custom message? Yes, I do. Now, at the custom message, I could just start from scratch and put in anything I want. You see it's already giving me the default subject line. I could have had that changed so it would have come up differently right away, but I can still change that. So here's my little database of custom messages. I'm going to choose the one that I had set up before, and I'm going to add something to it. And now it's all set up. I can still make as many changes as I want. That will not change what's in the database. It's only going to change what this particular message is going to be. So now I'll say OK, and it says they've been sent. One other little sort of technique that I've used for a long time when I get to this point, if I'm setting this up for a department or an external client or something, I'll often print right from the screen here, and I'll send this page to that person just to let them know, hey, in this case it's saying this is when, well, these went out immediately, but it's saying here's when the reminder. I could have had a different time and date up here so that they get to see what I'm doing. So they can look at it and say, oh yeah, that is right. Or they might look at it and say, wow, we forgot to put somebody on, or gosh, Bob retired last week, he's not going to be here anymore, or it would be better if that message went out at a different time or date because everybody's going to be somewhere that day. So I just like people to know what's going on, just a little technique, something that I like to do. So that's how we'd send this out. Now, I also recommend to people that if you haven't done this for a while, or even if it's just a special thing you're working on, that it's a good idea to test the system, the whole process, on yourself. And what I mean by that is to, first of all, go in and, set up your custom message, set up your logo and all the stuff you like, and then go under Manage Reports and send this to yourself, going through the same process that we just went through. When you get your link, you'll be able to see what the message looks like. When you click on the link, you'll be able to see what the website's going to look like. And so now you're going to feel really comfortable that that's how I want it to be. But you did not go through and complete the report. So now you could go back here and under Manage Your Account, you can unassign that same access code that you just sent to yourself, and you can get those credits back. And by the way, this is another little sort of technique that I'd recommend, and that is every once in a while, once a year or a couple times a year, go into your account when things are slow, nothing's going on, you don't have reports out there waiting, to be done. Just go in here and click Unassign Access Codes, Reclaim Credits, and see what comes up. Don't fill out anything in here, and just go into the search. Now here are the ones that we just set up today, so that's fine. I had a client a little while ago. I asked her to do that while we were on the phone, and she found that she had 100 credits in her account that over the years, kind of people didn't complete a report or whatever. So you may be pleasantly surprised and find out that you can get some credits. So let's go back to Manage Reports. One or two other little tips here. We've already set this one up so that, we'll go back into this for a minute, that this particular one, they went out immediately, but they are going to get a reminder at this particular time. Now that time has come and gone. They got the reminder, and now it's getting closer to the date. And now I'm concerned, gee, how many people are still left? Well, a real quick way to do that is just go under Resend Login Information. And now if I have them in a particular folder, which I did this time, another reason why you want to have folders and subfolders, I go to that, and it's going to show me who hasn't finished their report. And so now I could select all, and I can go to Resend Login Information. It'll give me the opportunity to put in another custom message. I may have set it up ahead of time, or I could just do it on the fly. So what I do is I have a program coming up. I just go back into Resend Login Information, and every once in a while till I get up to the point where when I click this, Nobody shows up in the folder. I know everybody's finished. Now it's time to generate my reports. And when I generate the reports, I usually do that as a batch function. Go down to Generate Reports for Download. Once again, navigate to that folder, select all, and it's going to create a zip file and get my reports ready to go. And when it's finished, it'll send me an email telling me that they're ready. I'll come back to Epic, download the zip file, and all of those reports will be there ready for printing. So that's the way that works. Okay. Let me just take a quick look. I think I handled most of it. Another feature that you want to take a look at is under Managing Reports. Remember I mentioned that I was going to set up some changes after I did the training. So under Batch Functions, I could go to Edit Report Options. Again, I was using the Workplace report, and now I wanted to change my view reports after the class. Instead of no, I want them set to yes. This is where I get a chance again for product tailoring to make sure that's on there. I do want to make sure that they get to see my comparisons to my style. And now when I go to add reports, I would just navigate to that folder. And I don't think this will do this just now because they haven't completed theirs. Let me see what it does give me. Oh, it will give me some. Okay, that's right, because I can change this to view now. So right now I could go ahead and select all, and now it's going to give me those options. It's going to tell me which ones are going to be changed, and now I can update those report options. I also use batch features for editing the report itself. If I need to. Well, I guess I did cover all of that there. The other feature I wanted to mention on Edit, though, is you can edit a report 2 times. So editing an existing report, if you just pick up any report that's in there, if I wanted to edit that report, I could maybe the email address bounce. So this is where I'd go back in and change the email address. By the way, if you have a bounced email and you go in and you edit the report and create and put in the correct email address, it will automatically send out the message that you originally were trying to send out. You could at this point change where this report's going to live when it's all finished. I can change the view, yes, no, all those kinds of things. And then under Advanced Options is where I get a chance to take a look at my everything disk and things that I might want to change there. So the edit feature, though, in addition to making changes to a single person, for example, you had their name spelled wrong or you had their email address wrong, you can also use the edit existing reports for group reports. So let's say you have a group culture report that you're doing for a department, and they had 20 people in that report, and now 6 months later, 2 of those people have left and 2 new people have come on. You can go in and edit that report, assuming the 2 new people are in your system with some sort of a profile, and you can take out the 2 that have left and bring in the 2 who are new, and you can do that 2 times. You can edit a report 2 times, so that means you can get a group report and get 3 of them for the price of 1. So that's a nice little feature as well. Okay, one more thing I did want to point out some people have missed. Sometimes maybe you're not using My Everything Disk, or somebody wants a report, and I know many times people have gone in, to print a report, they create the PDF, and they put it on their computer, and then they send an email and go through all these different steps. Really, all you need to do is to find that report, and of course it has to generate the report. The Epic system does not store reports; it stores the results of the assessment, and then what it does is it generates the report. So what I've recommended to people is just choose the email feature, And if it's going to the person who originally completed it, it will show up there. So all you have to do is check it. You can add a custom message if you wanted to. And if they wanted somebody else to see it, maybe they want their supervisor to have it, or maybe they want you to send a copy to their spouse. I don't know. So it's a lot easier to do it by just going in and click, send the report directly to them. So when you're anywhere in the account and you're wanting to get back and maybe get to the home page, you can click the Epic logo, take you right back home if you need to order some credits or whatever. I'd also recommend we're putting together a special newsletter. It hasn't started yet. We're going to be sending out little tips. We haven't decided, maybe once a week, some simple tip on Epic that might help you. And you can unsubscribe easily. So if you have a chance, you might want to take a look at that. Also mention, if you haven't looked at it, it is optimized for mobile. As an Epic administrator, you may be somewhere out of the office and you realized you had to do something on your Epic account. It works very nicely on a smartphone. We've done a lot of that. So I'm going to stop there. Those are, I would call, the basics. Any questions or anything that I can touch on that I haven't?
Hi, Rick. It's Marilyn. So thanks so much. That's helpful. As I mentioned, I go through stops and starts in regards to delivering the training, and so it's a great refresher for me. If I had specific content questions on the training and the training materials, what would be my best resource for that?
Either you can either just give us a call,
Okay.
keep our phone number handy, or send us an email. We are happy to respond to those at any time, and can even set up a screen share if there's something that's a little tricky that we want to show you. Happy to do that anytime. So please feel free to call or email us anytime you need some assistance. We're happy to help.
And is that the 259-0005 number?
Yep, that'll get us.
Okay, great. I don't have any other questions on what you covered, so thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for being with me today, and we'll look forward to helping you become an Epic master.
All right, thanks so much. Have a great day.
Good luck to you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.